2 years ago, after a long presence on the market with their LCD-based QLED models, Samsung made a significant shift by entering the high-end segment with its own OLED TVs. This was unexpected at the time, but the QD-OLED technology developed by Samsung's display division was more than a pleasant surprise, taking the title of the best of what is available to buyers in its domain. Although we expected QD-OLED to take a step further and continue its evolution last year, the model that succeeded the initial S95B did not bring any substantial improvements, and instead felt more like slight updates of the same product. Meanwhile, the competition from the Korean neighborhood was very active, with new WOLED-based panels catching up with QD-OLED in certain aspects, restoring the balance. Given that at the beginning of the year at CES we saw very ambitious announcements related to OLED technologies in general, with everyone casually mentioning 2500 nits of brightness and various improvements, it was clear that this year Samsung could not afford to release the same TV again, no matter how impressive it was initially, and that they had to roll up their sleeves and create something significantly better. That something is the S95D, which we got to test in its 55-inch size. Along with hardware changes, it also brings software improvements that were even the focus at the global launch event. Of course, we are talking about AI, which this year seems to stand out as the main selling point, especially for Samsung, first with phones and now with televisions. The new AI era of TV is announced, using artificial intelligence for everything from detail enhancement and image scaling to display optimization for video and gaming and more. Let's see how this looks in practice and whether it brings some real benefits. First off, a bit about the design, which is completely minimalist, something absolutely commendable given that the focus is on the content. The front of the device features only a minimal bezel of about 7mm on the bottom side and a frame of about 1mm, with a thin additional margin of few millimeters on all sides. Thus, the screen itself occupies so much surface that nothing distracts you from it, plus anyone seeing this TV for the first time will have to look hard to find out the brand, since Samsung's label is tiny and located at the bottom right side under the bezel, next to the indicator light and sensor. The panel frame is made of metal and extends all around, with an impressively thin profile of the entire device, which is less than 1 cm, giving it an almost unreal appearance. Samsung calls this the Infinity One design. The secret lies, of course, in the fact that inside there is only the panel with essential elements, while all the electronics are relocated to the One Connect box, which connects to the TV with a single cable. Therefore, at the back you will find only one connector and nothing else. The back is made of plastic, not of perfect rigidity and assembly precision, as some parts slightly give way, but it looks very good with a textured finish, speakers and openings for sound and ventilation. Of course, you can mount the TV on the wall, which is the preferred option given the design, but it also comes with a stand in the form of two very robust metal plates that fit excellently with the theme of minimalism and thin profile. The One Connect box can be mounted on the back of the stand and connected with a shorter cable included in the package, while the longer cable, also included, can be used for wall mounting to run it through a channel in the wall to a shelf, achieving a perfectly tidy appearance with no visible cables. The box itself looks like a thin gaming console, which is a more practical version than the first One Connect boxes that were more like, well, a box, hence the name. You can hang it on the wall or place it on the back of the stand, where it will blend in due to its thin profile. It is just over 2 cm thick, with dimensions that exactly fit the back of the stand, making the box barely noticeable and adding a slightly nicer appearance. All connectors are located on the box itself, on the left side at the back when mounted on the stand, or on the back if you keep it on a shelf. You get a LAN port, optical audio output, antenna and satellite connectors, a CI Plus slot, 2 USBs, and 4 HDMI connectors, one of which supports eARC. All HDMI ports are version 2.1, supporting 4K image source at up to 144 Hz, like a proper gaming monitor. In fact, Samsung S95D is more than a proper gaming monitor, one of the best on the market, because in addition to high resolution and refresh rate, it provides excellent response due to the QD-OLED panel, true HDR display and support for variable refresh rate compatible with both AMD FreeSync and NVIDIA G-Sync standards, along with VESA VRR on consoles. We tried some of the current games on it, including fast FPS titles, and the experience is truly exceptional, especially in combination with a powerful PC that can make the most of what the S95D has to offer. The TV also offers a game menu similar to previous models, allowing for the adjustment of all gaming-related settings, including some additional options like crosshair display or choosing 16:9, 21:9 or 32:9 formats if you want to try a game in ultra-wide mode. Speaking of connections with a computer, in our previous QD-OLED reviews we noted that these panels do not have the ideal text display in Windows due to pixel arrangement, and this is even more noticeable on such a large diagonal, but we would say this is the only drawback of this panel, as its performance is exceptional. Actually, this model comes with a new generation of QD-OLED, which is significantly improved over the previous one, precisely in the aspects that make the biggest difference in practice. Firstly, we measured the maximum brightness at 2007.7 nits, significantly higher than the S95B and S95C. This brightness is available up to 5% coverage, dropping to 1000 nits at 10%, and over 25% the ABL, or brightness limiter, is very aggressive, limiting it practically to 100 nits. This is much less than previous models and is not ideal, as around 200 nits would be more suitable for displaying a completely white screen in brighter rooms, so we hope Samsung could relax the ABL a bit with an update. Nevertheless, in real scenes, the picture is certainly very impressive, especially where there is a large contrast with alternating bright and dark details in a small part of the scene. The second major improvement is the anti-reflective surface, as the screen is completely matte and surprisingly good at rejecting glare and reflections. At first it seemed like something we have seen on the frame models, but it seems to be even more advanced technology, doing an incredibly good job. Even with two large windows directly opposite the screen, only a very slight difference in shade could be seen on a black background, by far the best implementation we have seen so far on any screen. The best part is that the impact on picture quality and color display is minimal, as the screen still achieves a very respectable coverage of 96.1% of DCI-P3 spectrum. Of course, it is a true 10-bit panel. The viewing angles are practically perfect, as is the panel uniformity. As for factory calibration, it is very impressive in movie and filmmaker modes with measured delta E deviation of only 1.3. Interestingly, even gamers can enjoy calibrated display, as the game original mode offers a deviation of still excellent 1.6. In addition to these modes, there are those for video and gaming which offer a more attractive display at the expense of accuracy. Among them, Standard offers a good starting point if you want something you can customize to your taste. You also get the intelligent mode we have seen on higher-end Samsung TVs for generations, but which this year, according to announcements, is improved and uses the NQ4 AI Gen 2 processor with 4 times faster NPU and 2.5 times more neural networks. The benefit of this, according to Samsung, is in scaling and image optimization, perceptual color mapping, and enhancement of brightness, colors, contrast, and details. In real use, intelligent mode makes scenes much brighter than all standard modes, which could have its advantages for certain content and users, but our impression is that in this mode the image is actually overexposed and washed out rather than intelligently optimized by the power of machine learning. As soon as you turn off intelligent mode, the color display is top-notch. Is this something that can be improved with a software update? It certainly is, but at this moment we wouldn't say it contributes to image quality, which is better and excellent without it. Interestingly, among the standard modes is also the Echo mode, which also uses AI to optimize energy consumption, but actually works really well and may be one of the best for those who want a slightly more attractive display than the reference in movie and filmmaker modes. Speaking of processing, the S95D offers a considerable number of features such as contrast and color saturation enhancement, static and dynamic tone mapping and the like, as well as MEMC or motion processing. Instead of predefined modes for MEMC, you only get auto, off, and custom options, with the latter offering 2 sliders for reducing judder and blur, as well as clear motion option, which strobes the image between frames to improve response, which is realistically unnecessary for OLED since it already has excellent response, plus the option causes noticeable flickering. As for the quality of implementation, although MEMC works quite well, we have seen better on Samsung models. We are not sure if it is some adaptation in transitioning to AI algorithms, but it seems that artifacts on object edges in fast scenes are more noticeable than before. This is less visible if only the judder is active, which is sufficient considering the OLED panel and fast response. On the positive side, there is no soap opera effect that many do not like when it comes to MEMC. Overall, the image quality is a noticeable step forward, even with the mentioned criticisms that could and should be corrected. As for sound, it is produced by a 4.2.2 system with 70 watts of power and respectable loudness. The sound balance is, as we are used to with high-end Samsung models, very good, making the sound quite refined for a TV. Low frequency response is decent, but relatively quickly drops below 90 Hz to a minimal 40, so the sound does not have the weight and low-end power we have encountered on some previous models. Thanks to speakers positioned along the left and right edges and the bottom of the panel, the sound stage is very good, further enhanced by Dolby Atmos support and Samsung's Object Tracking Sound Plus algorithm, which recognizes objects on the screen and tries to project their sound as if coming from the corresponding point. Those who wish to add one of Samsung's soundbars to the TV will be able to utilize the Q Symphony option, which simultaneously combines the sound of the TV and soundbar for immersive sound and better reproduction. Regarding smart capabilities, the S95D brings more possibilities than ever thanks to the Tizen 8.0 platform. The TV's interface is recognizable, very similar to previous models, but with some minor improvements and innovations. All available options and features are arranged in sections accessible in the left corner of the screen: Home, Daily Plus, Ambient, Search, and Connected Devices. The Home section is divided into two tabs: Discover, where you have shortcuts for installed applications and content suggestions from various services, and Apps, which is actually access to the App Store. Regarding available applications, all relevant video and music streaming services are there, a multitude of informational and sports apps, basic games, and even NVIDIA GeForce Now if you want gaming without a computer and console. In the Connected Devices section, you can access different devices, both those via HDMI inputs, network and USB disks, but also all smart devices in the house you can control via the SmartThings ecosystem. This last feature is one of the focuses, as the TV practically acts as a hub or a control center for smart devices, with a view of all parameters, creating routines and control via a voice assistant. As for the Daily Plus section, it allows you to connect with devices like Windows and Mac computers or Samsung phones via DeX wirelessly, and Microsoft Office 365 package without the need for a computer, view the smart device map, but also access videos that will make riding a stationary bike or running on a treadmill more interesting or provide guided training. In the Ambient section, there is a selection of photos, pictures, and videos that are there to enhance your space and can be displayed on the screen when you are not using the TV, some of them even with ambient sounds. TV control is possible via the SmartThings app on a mobile phone, as well as with a remote similar to those seen on previous models. It is a compact remote with a minimal number of buttons, but combined with the TV's interface, it offers all necessary functions and reasonably intuitive control once you get acquainted with all functions and shortcuts. The battery is integrated into the remote itself and rechargeable both via USB-C connector and solar with a sensor located on the back. All in all, the Samsung S95D is a pretty impressive TV, and at this moment one of the best you can buy, even if we can't say it is perfect in every aspect. Its strongest asset is undoubtedly the display, both in terms of image quality, especially for HDR content due to brightness around 2000 nits, and because of the unit made screen that elevates the viewing experience outside complete darkness to a new level. Excellent gaming capabilities, good sound, numerous smart features, and excellent design just round out a very good package, making this TV interesting for those who want something really good or perhaps want to watch the European Football Championship in all its 4K glory, or perhaps the Olympics, which Samsung is sponsoring this year. As for the prices, they go around $2,500 for the 55-inch model, $3,300 for the 65-inch model, and $4,500 for the largest 77-inch version. That would be all for our impressions, but we are looking forward to hearing yours in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed our review enough to give us a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to our channel for more interesting tech content. You were watching Bench House, my name is Ivan, and I'll see you next time.